Now, obviously, same question for Canelo, right? Like right now, he's about to become the first Mexican, if he can beat Caleb Plant, which I'm sure you're familiar with being a PBC stablemate, but if he can beat Caleb Plant, he'll become the first Mexican to ever do undisputed at 168. Plus, he's unified 54. He's unified 60. He's unified 68. He moved up to 75 and won a world title. And he has all these record-breaking pay-per-views, these big deals. Will that loss to Mayweather never allow him to supersede the legacy of Mayweather or be greater in the history books when it comes to him and Mayweather?
Yeah, you can never be, it can't be greater. How you gonna be greater than the man that defeated you, right? Can't be greater than, right? You're talking about, this is mathematical science here. There's a greater than and lesser than sign. We learned this in elementary school, right? Greater than and lesser than. So let's just think of it like that. Floyd Mayweather is greater than or lesser than Canelo Alvarez. Today, right now. I mean, greater than or lesser than, right now.
I think that there's a debate on...
Greater than or lesser than. Greater than or lesser than. This is mathematics. It's 2 + 2 = 4. Greater than or lesser than. You put this on me, I'm throwing it right back at you. Floyd Mayweather is greater than. He's greater than. It's harder. You're going to ever say those words, Floyd Mayweather is lesser than? Just say it out loud. Say it right now. Say it. Say it right. Say the words.
I can't.
Thank you. Okay. That's the topic right there. Just to say Floyd Mayweather is lesser than is very hard to do. It's almost impossible. So I just don't see,
Well, we can't use the word lesser, but would you agree that Floyd didn't fight certain fighters and Canelo fought those same fighters that called Floyd out, except for you as the only one, and allow me to explain. Laura was the 154-pound champion after Floyd beat Cotto.
Laura didn't even belong in those weight classes. He was really a welterweight. He had a hard time fighting as a welterweight. And Canelo beat him. I was surprised when Canelo beat him. I thought that was a very good win. I thought Laura had more to give. I thought my boy Danny Jacobs had more to give against Canelo. Just boxing-wise, having that boxing knowledge. I thought, Floyd got him with boxing knowledge. I thought that there was somebody else who can get this guy with boxing intellect and boxing knowledge. But in the ring, it's another story. To do it right here and there, when you got that Mexican mule, you know what I'm saying? You got that boy and that powerhouse. It's a different story, And obviously we've seen how that story plays out when people are toe-to-toe with Canelo. It's not easy to stay calm, cool, collected, and just dodge all that and pop and give him the jab, especially now that he got a little slick with it and he just don't chin up, walk you down no more, Getting that loss to Floyd showed him another side of boxing. He went home, he developed it over and over again. The Canelo today he evolved. And I'm very proud to see a young fighter like him evolve, because that's what I believe it truly takes to be great in the sport, is to always know that you can evolve. Right here and right now, my next camp, we're working on evolving, evolving, being more than you were last time. That's all you can do. You're going to keep fighting. You're going to stay in the game. Don't just stay in the game. Do what you do. Do what you do. And then do more. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do. Then do more. That's how you really stay in the game. That's how you make sure that they don't forget who you are. And that's what Canelo did. He kept being him. Tough. Walk you down. But now he does more. Now he step back. Now he pull. Now he duck. Groove. Boom, boom. I didn't watch his last fight. I heard he got exploited a little bit. But what happened ultimately? Patience. Being Canelo. Wow. And yeah. It's still, my name's one time for a reason, man. One time for a reason. Because that's what the sport's about. Being patient. Sticking to your power. Boom. And landing that one shot. No matter what happened. Oh, well, he was actually doing this to Canelo. He was actually... What happened? So I like Canelo a lot, man. I love watching how he evolved. I think he's very slick nowadays. I think he's schooled a lot of people, and he's tremendously harder to defeat at his stage now than, 5-6 years ago.
Now, there's a narrative that, again, Canelo fought and beat all the guys that called out Mayweather. Gennady being one. Gennady said he would only go down to 54 for Mayweather. Now we see Mayweather fight Logan, who was a cruiserweight, and he did good at 44, so we could assume in his prime he would have been able to fight Gennady, but Canelo's the one that fought him twice, he started his career at 140. So again, the question becomes like, if Canelo's doing all these things, how could he not, surpass or level up in the history books?
No, I think he's going to be one of the most accomplished fighters, to come out of Mexico for a very long time. It's just hard when you start playing all this credential stuff. A great fighter is a great fighter. Are they not?
Yep.
Do you enjoy watching them fight?
All the time.
That's all that matters. You know what I mean? All this other stuff is just wordplay. It's just talk. Boxing talk. I see why you got your show. You know what I mean? It's just talk. You know what I mean? But ultimately, when you're great and people love what you bring into the ring, to me, that's mission accomplished, man. And he's been on a mission. He hasn't been messing up. He hasn't skipped a beat, really. So, we'll see. I still believe that, I think the Caleb Plant is a great fight. Obviously, he's doing it for all the credentials, but, I still want to see him in Boo Boo. I want to see, because if somebody's gonna, I know Andrade from the amateurs. One of the few people to beat me multiple times. Not too many people got multiple W's over me, but Andrade does. And with that kind of scenario, Andrade, I was a power puncher, but Andrade, I didn't have a jab. We were 4-round fighters at that time. You can't break down the fighter, this and that. My conditioning wasn't even on point as an amateur anyway, so I'm not gonna act like I could have broke him down back then. But long story short, Andrade has always been one of the best fighters from America, period. There's a reason why he was our Olympian and he represented us back in 08, okay? So for Canelo to say those comments he said and this and that, I just think it's a little whack. I think it's a little demeanoring. And ultimately, man, I'll pull the race card for a second. Some say a brother beat him the first time, and it might take a brother to beat him the second time, But like I said, he's upset, and he beat the skilled fighters that I thought could dial up his number. He handled them, So he might be able to handle Andrade. But we won't know unless we see that fight.
You think Andrade got to keep doing what he's doing, man? Like, I don't like that he did it pre-fight, post-fight, and now he's silent. You got to stay Clubber Lane 24/7 if you want that fight. You got to shame Canelo, and I'll give you history. Islandri Lara doesn't even speak English. He had to crash the press conference, go actually to the podium, not just do an Andre and be in the stands. He went to the podium, got the fight. Mosley got in the ring to disrespect Floyd, got the fight. Like, you can't just...
If he got in the ring, they let him in the ring. You got to always know that one, so I ain't gonna...
Okay.
If you got in the ring, they let you in the ring, boy. You go walk into the ring. Go walk into the ring. If he got in the ring, they let him in the ring.
He sugar Shane Mosley.
No, they already knew. The money team already knew that they was gonna dial in that fight very soon.
Did you see that post-fight? You seen Floyd? He felt disrespected.
Floyd always feels disrespected. You saw what happened when they took
his hat. Oh,
you see that? Floyd, you can disrespect Floyd real quick. You know what I mean?
Got your hat.
I think there was one time in a hotel. He put his hand out. I didn't even realize he was trying to dap me up, but I didn't dap him up. And then I bet he felt disrespected then too. But I think
was that before or after you called him out though? Because then that would make sense.
I think.
Oh shit!
Before the Pac fight, after the Pac fight, when I was in Vegas for my surgery, maybe. I forget. I might have been after the Pac fight, but it caught to me 10, 15 seconds later. I was like, "Oh, was that a dap hand?" I don't know. I caught it from I don't know. But he might have felt disrespected in the lobby. He had his whole money team. He was all raw-rawed up. He had some nice black Barbies with him that day. You know what I'm saying? It was Floyd living his life. But yeah, man, Floyd can feel disrespected in a lot of ways. Like we said, took his hat, But man, I want to see great fights, man. I want to see, you know, I like the Caleb Plant fight. I'm not going to say that I don't want to see that fight. I do want to see that fight. I just still want to see, I just want to see who's going to handle Andrade and who's going to handle Canelo. When you got great fighters like that, it takes another great fighter to beat great fighters. You know, so that's why I really like that matchup. And they're both undefeated, right? Mm-hmm. They're both undefeated, you know? Caleb Plant is still undefeated, I believe, right? So I respect the fight. I really do. I really, truly respect the fight. But matchmaking-wise, if there's anybody else that I would just be like, you know, somebody that's gonna. But then there's the Charlos too, man. I mean, I still think there's plenty of action for Canelo. Be honest.
No, there is. I mean, it's
division. I think there's plenty of action for that boy to get. So let's just see what happens with Caleb, because Caleb is a live dog. I don't think Caleb's really faced a puncher like Canelo, but we'll have to see. You know, I know what kind of heart Caleb has. I know he's actually a little bit more slick with it than people give that boy credit for.
What they think the problem's going to be is the power. Is he going to have enough power to keep Canelo off of him? Because Canelo likes to walk you down if he doesn't feel any threat.
Yeah, I think he's got enough. You know what I mean? Once you put the small gloves on and everything, I think he has enough. And I think he's gonna, you know, instinctively know that with this fight, he might have to sit down just a little bit more. He might have to sit down a little bit more. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Keith, man, right now in this gym, maybe you and Dan probably the only ones that can answer this, but do you think Al Heyman makes that fight? It's been 2 offers that Caleb turned down from Canelo, allegedly. I spoke to him over the weekend. He said it wasn't 2, it was 1, but 1 is enough. Will they do this fight? Because obviously it would mean either Caleb going to Dazn.
You say 1's enough, but
I mean, is it Canelo's maybe the Willy Wonka ticket these days? It's like fighting Floyd, fighting Canelo in terms of payday. I mean, I'll give you some information. Kovalev, as old as he is, 3-time WBO champion in 1 division, $14 million to fight Canelo. $8 million for Billy Joe. Caleb wants 10. So, you know, these
aren't going to give him 10?
I'm sure they're going to. I mean, Billy was from the UK with no American fan base. Caleb's done 2 million views on his last Fox Sports paper.
But maybe he wanted 10 and they didn't want to give him 10, so he couldn't.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.